sports fans, Larry Eater, RunBlogRun. I'm in Portland, Oregon this week, and Stuart Weir is still in Oxford, but he can go into pubs this week in Oxford, the intellectual and beer capital of the world now. I've just had to add that in. But actually, it's the white wine capital, right? Because you're going to have a glass of wine there. Okay.
Yeah.
Stuart, it's great to see you, my friend.
Yeah, great to be here. And hey, do you know, I am going to do something really daring and shocking next weekend. I am going to a track meet.
Totally cool.
I mean, I've been before. I've been before. I went to one in February 2020.
Wow. That's how long it's been, Yeah.
14 months, indeed.
Yeah, I went to that one last weekend at Hayward, and it was, what was nice was there was only 300 people in the stands. And irony of ironies, I spent most of the meet sitting with a buddy of mine who we used to go to all these road races together when he was at Nike and I was at Runner's World 35 years ago. And we got to watch a track meet. I think it's the first time we ever did that together. And it was a fun track meet. It's just like being a human in a place and getting to be around other people. Well, kind of.
Yeah.
But so we've got some topics that everybody knows. If you're new to Athletics Chat, this is week 52. We've been doing this for a year. Athletics Chat was the idea of Mike Deering and Adam Eater. They said that, you and Stuart, we love Stuart, and we can put up with you. But you and Stuart would be great for chatting across the pond and solving many of the world's problems. And, we haven't gotten to cease and desist yet, Stuart. So, we're and, we've had a change of leadership in this country. And you've got Boris, and he just kind of, do you call him his gracious leader? Is that?
If I'm being particularly sarcastic, yes.
Okay, all right. I just want to double check. All right. So our first topic today, this track meet you're going to in Gateshead. Gateshead for many of the Americans is a very famous place, and Brendan Foster, one of my big heroes and Stuart's big heroes, that was his home turf. Now, did David Moorcroft compete there a lot too, back in the olden golden days?
He would have done. I mean, it was alongside Crystal Palace, the two places to have track meets. It's sort of fallen out of favour a bit, and it's back really only because Birmingham Alexander Stadium is being rebuilt for next year's Commonwealth Games. And of course, you are clear that the meet on Sunday is the Morocco Rabat Diamond League.
But it's just it's remotely being held in Gateshead,
it's just being held in Gateshead. I mean, it's a remarkable thing that British Athletics apparently didn't want to have Gateshead as well as the anniversary games when they had months to plan it. But when suddenly a chance to do Rabat in 3 or 4 weeks, and boom, it's happening.
That's amazing.
And so I think it's... Go on.
Are there going to be any people in the stands or not?
There will be some. I don't know how many. For Premier League soccer, it is either 10,000 or 25% of the capacity, whichever is the less. So there will be a few thousand, but probably not more than that. But I think it's a good meet. It's 14 diamond events plus 4 para races, and then 1 non-diamond race, the 400 hurdles. So we've got 19 events, but there's 2 prelims for the women's 100, so that's 21 events in total, starting at 5:50 p.m. and finishing at 8:55. So it's just 3 hours and 5 minutes. It'll be, I think, a good program, and there's some events that I'm really looking forward to. I mean, the event that the organisers think is the best because they put it last in the program is the women's 1500. in which Laura Muir will be up against Ellie McColgan, Katie Snowden, Adele Tracy from Britain, and then people like Arafi of Morocco, Baye from Ethiopia, and Jenny Simpson coming over for the race.
Oh, nice. Well, that'll be fun.
So yeah, so I mean, it's good to see Laura, one of our top athletes, in a race where she's got some decent competition and where it really will be an interesting race. Just checking, it is all right to talk about the triple jump this year, because I mean, last year we had to hide if we wanted to talk about it, but I think it's all right this year.
We love the triple jump, and we really enjoy triple jump athletes. You know.
Well, we got an excellent women's triple jump with Catherine Ibarguen.
Yes.
Katura Borgi, KO is coming over. Papa Cristo, Ricketts, Kimberly Williams. So I think that's an exciting, and our best British jumper, Naomi Ogbita. So I think that's another interesting one. The men's 1500 has got Jakob Ingebrigtsen. The 5000 has got brother Henry. And the Andrew Bouchard going in that one as well. So again, a Brit against a couple of good international stars. 200, Adam Jamili against De Grasse and Kenneth Bednarik. We got a pole vault. Nobody much in the pole vault. Just Duplantis, is that the name?
Yeah.
Kendricks.
Sure.
And Harry Couple from Britain.
Wow.
So again, that's a pretty good event. And the women's 100, I think, is quite a fascinating one, because Dina Asher-Smith is the home athlete, but we've got Blessing Okabari, Shakari Richardson, Elaine Thompson-Hera, and somebody I'm excited to see over in Britain is Javian Oliver, who turned up indoors. And we've talked about her before, that I asked her why you never seem to do so well outside. And she said, I always seem to get injured after the indoor season. So she's gone under 11 seconds for the first time this season. Now, Shelley-Ann Fraser-Price is also listed, but I am led to believe that she may not be there. But we'll have to watch that space. And, sorry, I forgot to mention Marie-Josie Talou.
Oh, nice.
Running as well. She's won medals in the last 2 World Championships. So,
so are you going to have a remote presser, or are you going to actually be on site? What's the deal?
The presser is both, but those of us who are actually in the hotel will be allowed to attend in person. My understanding is that the mix zone will only be remote. So basically, on the day before, the presser is for real. But as well as that, the meet, I understand, is trying to arrange some online press points, you might call them. But then when we're in the stadium, you're basically, as I understand it, but in all honesty, one of the things I'm most excited about is actually seeing what one of these meets is like. But my understanding is that you will be shown to a seat and you have to remain in your seat for the duration, and all the information will come to you on a piece of paper or online.
It's interesting because over here on the 23rd, there's a Adidas Boston Games. It's more of a street track meet, but no media are allowed. The city of Boston has said everything has to be done remotely, because what we were going to try to do is hit that one and then try to get to a couple of the other meets. So, we're kind of juggling right now. And then our friend Jason Henderson is in charge of press at the meet. Okay, good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, I'm delighted for Jason, but it's just an indication of how British athletics no longer has the staff to do it themselves.
Yeah, they had a great team that was doing things, and it's most disappointing. Let's talk about the craziness of the Olympics. In the last week, the New York Times, and then 2 days ago, BBC wrote editorials about why are we doing the Olympics. And in fact, Inside the Games did a piece, I believe, that said, not canceling the Olympics just shows the IOC's arrogance. And I'm not going to get into the war of the words with the IOC and these media groups, but where are your thoughts at right now?
Well, I mean, I thought it was summed up in something I think I said last week, and I certainly wrote it for you this week, that 330,000 people signed a petition, and they're going to give the petition to Thomas Bach this week, except Thomas Bach decided it wasn't safe for him to come. I mean, did not say at all. And of course now, consistently, opinion polls in Tokyo have always had a majority of people saying we really would prefer the games didn't take place. It's been reported this week that the current one is 60% say we don't want the games to happen, but 85% say we are worried about foreigners bringing strands of COVID into our country. So even though it's only 60 are saying cancel it, 85% are saying, well, actually, we're very uncomfortable about it. And as you know, the marathons have been moved away from Tokyo to somewhere which is better climate and so on, Sapporo, and it's now gone into lockdown. I still think it is not certain that the games will happen. And you'd think that there are compelling reasons why you shouldn't bring 15,000 people from 200 countries into Japan just for a sporting event. I mean, it's the greatest sporting event. I love it, you love it, but equally, perhaps just sometimes the health of the world is more important.
No, I'm trying to understand what's the justification for everybody with.
I mentioned this last week that I was on a conference call to Japan, and sort of the man in the street, you might say, was on the call, and he said, because the government has spent over 200 billion on the Olympics, they're scared what public opinion will say if they say, bit of news for you fellows, we've spent 200 billion of your money and we're not having the Olympics.
No, especially with the election coming up there, it's classic theater almost. So kind of we'll have to see how it goes. The Sapporo thing concerns me too, because that was changing. They were bragging about that as being 10 degrees cooler at that time of the year than Tokyo. And then traditionally, a world championship or an Olympic marathon is hot as Hades, and you get athletes. You don't get the big city guys who win the big city races. You get athletes who can deal with heat, humidity, and difficult running situations. And so kind of it's interesting on that point. And then there were a couple of nice California track meets this last weekend.
Yeah, the sound running one, there were some good performances there. I mean, Laura Muir decided she would do an 800 and ran 1:58.71. Adele Tracy was third, second time in a couple of weeks, an excellent run. She was again under 2 minutes. Judy Williams. Now that's interesting because Judy was sort of a superstar as a junior, but then somehow didn't manage to carry it on at quite the same level. Like she was a semi-finalist in Rio, didn't make the final. Then she certainly started dabbling a little bit in the 400, and she ran a 51:01 last weekend. And rather amusingly, Stu McMillan tweeted, "Not well done, Judy," but he tweeted, "The only reason you weren't under 51 is because you stopped before the finish."
Wow.
So, but I mean, it's an interesting one because she got a medal at the European Indoors in the 400, running a really excellent leg. And people were saying to her then, "We would love to see you giving the 400 a go to see what you could do." And she was saying, "No, I'm a 200 runner. I like running 400s a bit." But the funny thing was, I knew very well one of the people who coached Judy in the UK when she was only doing 200s, and the coach used to have her running 400s to increase her stamina, and Judy did not like it. So I asked her, "Can you explain to me how the athlete who hated and complained to her coach when she had to run a 400 is now choosing to run them?" And she just said to me, "You don't always get to do everything you like in life." But, you know, she was in our 4x4 relay team in Doha. And I think at the moment, the way she's running, she could probably choose the 200 or the 400. I think I'm right in saying that the way the program for Oregon is, she could choose the 200 and the 400.
I think you're completely correct. I've liked Jody, and I've liked her attitude for a long time. I just watched her show on Instagram, which is called Coffee Conversation.
Yes,
and she does a wonderful job. And I reached out to her for an interview, so we're going to see. Also got Ellie Doyle. I mentioned your name, and she really likes you, Stuart. You know, and
there you are. Sorry,
yeah. So thank you.
Why do you sound so surprised?
Oh, I don't. I just like to give you trouble. I watch you with the athletes, and you have a great rapport with them. And Ellie, she cracks me up. I mean, she's been around for ages. You know, and you got and people don't think about it. And Jody's the same way. You know, what kids learn when they have that beginning time where there's stars, and then they have that period where just like everybody else, and they're going, "Wow, what do I do?" You know. So, I mean, I think she could. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to tell you something with Ellie that you may not know. Her sister is a successful novelist.
Really? Did not know. Wow.
There you are.
I'll have to research that one. Well, thank you. You know, there's always, you know, on Athletics Chat, as Michael tells us, there's always something that we try to educate every week. You know, just a little bit of thoughtfulness. Speaking of thoughtfulness, I thought that you know, Gemma Reiki and Laura Muir ran quite well. Ellie McColgan is really coming along well this season.
Well, she is such a remarkable athlete because she is doing the 10,000 in Tokyo.
Yeah.
But so how do you prepare for a 10,000? You go out and run a ridiculously fast 1,500.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've picked up, but she will be running in Tokyo in the 10,000 in 2021. And 10 years ago, 20 years ago, her
Yep.
mom was running in Tokyo.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No. And I've met her mom a few times too, and her stepdad. And no, she's got a huge cheering section, which is kind of cool.
It always amuses me with Eilish that she likes to run a PR, but more than that, it seems to me she likes to beat her mom's PR.
Oh, yes, I think that's a motivating factor. But what I get a kick out of Eilish about is that how she overstrides, how tall she is, and then over the last 2 or 3 laps in a 5 or a 10, how she can really pull it in and bring herself into the medal contention. And I think that's where that leg speed is used so well. Did you have any field inventors over in the U.S. meets?
Nothing struck me particularly. Sorry, I was more concentrating on the fact. I noticed that now that Shara Proctor and Jasmine Sawyers were jumping 6:30s, which is a bit concerning with trials and Olympics coming up. Just going back to track and field, one thing which did catch my eye was the 110 hurdles.
Okay.
Omar McLeod ran a 13:11.
Yes.
Daniel Roberts 13:30, and some chap called Aries Merritt 13:90. I just wondered if you knew, is he trying to make a serious comeback, or I mean, he had some health issues and so on, but
we knew he had health issues. I thought he was taking a break. That's what I recall my last conversation over a year ago, plus. But yeah, this is, I think, his second race, and it's just good to see him out there. And what Aries would tell us is that he needs probably 6 or 8 races to get his timing on. You know, so that's going to further complicate the U.S. trials system. You know, Devon Allen's running pretty well right now.
Yes, and the second not race.
A few of the others. So and then I just got a result about an hour ago about Javon Harrison, I believe, the young man who won the high jump and the long jump at the NCAA Indoor Championships. He just went 2:36 in the high jump. Which I believe is the world leader right now, and a meet, I think, in Texas. But what's happening right now is we went from having no meets over here to meets everywhere. A lot of them still will not allow fans in, but the kids are getting to compete. You know, the officials are there, and you know, we're getting right now. The CDC has said that if you have both of your injections or you've done the one shot, you don't have to wear a mask outside, and inside, unless there's a big group around you. And some people are not, it's kind of funny because some people are saying, well, that's not cautious enough, you know. And then we've got the wackerdoodles over here who, you know, they're worried about masks and everything else. And I think that Swedish health minister said it best when he said, people have just got to think about the other people in their lives.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that that's a big part of it, because all of our friends in athletics who have had COVID have had some type of complications, you know. It just took a little longer to feel better. And who was it? Sandy Morris told us that she just felt like she was in a haze. And so did, I mean, Katie Najot is just getting, she did a a 12-step this weekend at 481, and
well,
she's looking good. But what?
I think I mentioned this before, but Tom Bosworth said, I felt as if I had been run over by a bus twice. But one of the things that I'm struggling with a little bit in this strange year is you look at performances, and sometimes the times are a bit disappointing, and you think, well, actually, if you look into it, the last time that person ran that event was at the Doha World Championship. But then there's some other people who have spent the year training, who didn't really have the break that they normally have, or they had the break earlier and so they've had a better winter than usual, and then they're suddenly producing amazing times.
Yeah. No, well, we had one this weekend, 2016 Olympic champion Matt Centrowitz. Matt's had health issues since then. Ran a very fine 3:35 at the Sound Running Meet, part of the American Track Series, which I have to tell you, on that Friday night they did a 3 10,000s and some good times. A young Canadian woman ran a screaming last 3/4 of a mile to break the Canadian record with a 31:13. And Joe Klecker, whose parents are Barney and Janice, both American distance runners, and Janice made a couple Olympic teams. Barney was third in that big 10,000, running 27:23. But on Saturday, Jesse upped his game, and he had the 100, the hurdles. He had some great events. Gemma was in a race there, and so was Laura. So really good stuff. These bespoke meets that I think Jesse Williams, the guys at Miles for Trials, and also the Paul Doyle, and then on top of that, the USATF stuff. There's about 40 meets in this country this year that we've never had before. And if they could keep 10, 15 of those and do them well, Lewis Johnson and our friend from Minnesota, that Olympic 1,500 meter runner, and I'm having sunburn on the brain right now. Carrie Tollefson did a nice job with the announcing, and but it was a little more modest meet, but we got to see it, which was good. And what they're doing, which is interesting, is part of the meet was on ESPN and part of it was streaming. And the meet director, Jesse Williams, charged $5.99 US, which is about $2.50, and that money is going to go to the athletes. So they were hoping. I figured they would probably raise 20, 30 grand, which is pretty cool. But they're doing new things, and that's and they're trying things, and I think we're picking up fans. I really do. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I tried to sit down and think. I can't think of any track athletes that I dislike because they're rude or anything. We just don't have that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've interviewed athletes in other sports. Like I got to talk to John McEnroe, and one-on-one, I thought he was a lovely person. I didn't think he was a jerk. Yeah. And Michael Jordan, I got to talk to him about the triple jump one time, and I just thought he was, and you get how the different off the field and stuff, So I just think we've got a lot of stories to tell,
I just all my life I'd thought that Jordan played basketball. Really, he's a triple jumper, is he?
Well, I teased him because he did long jump, and this has got to be almost close to 30 years ago. I got a few minutes with him and Andre Agassi at a Nike event, And he heard I was a track coach, and he looks at me and he goes, "What event would I do?" And I said, "Give me 6 weeks, and I'd get you over 55 feet in a triple jump." And because he had the vertical, leap. I mean, come on, and he was strong as can be. And what Jonathan Edwards would tell us, and I remember that great quote from Seb Coe about how difficult the triple jump is on your body. But American basketball players could truly handle that. And who was it? There was a Croatian global basketball player who also was a really good high jumper too. And I would pull my high jumpers from the basketball team all the time. That was part of the game. But I think that we've got great stories to tell. And I think that goes with or without the Olympics. I just I wrote a piece up a couple of weeks ago that if I was in charge of the IOC, I would have said no Olympics till 2024. Let's get this cleared up. Yeah, it's going to be, almost 8 years without anything. But you know what? You don't want to get. I'm just so afraid of how many athletes are going to get sick, possibly in Tokyo, and that's a huge concern. And it's not that the IOC isn't worried about it. It's not that the local organizing folks in Tokyo are not worried about it, but they're looking at it from a whole different place. And that's why they need what we would call over here an ombudsman. They need someone who is outside of it, who comes in and says, okay, IOC this side, LOC this side, doctors in the middle, athletes. Yeah, we know you want to have meet athletes. How do we do it safely for you? Because I've heard there's a German Olympian, Winter Olympian, who is a medical doctor, and she's all over Inside the Games, which is a fine website, Inside the Games.biz. And she said that the IOC should not be involved in decision making at all. It should be medical doctors, and she doesn't understand how it can work. And quite frankly, I can't either. And it's not that I love the Olympics. Come on, you and I, we live for that in the World Champs.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I do not want to see. I do not want to see some of our favorite athletes ending their careers because of COVID, and that's what could happen. And so, I don't know how to be any more explicit about it than that. Are you guys having this weekend? Our friend Jessie Knight. What a lovely performance over the 400 hurdles.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, I mean, I think that the lovely thing about Jessie is that, so many of our top athletes were good at a very early age, got scholarships, got sponsors. Jessie had done it all in her spare time. And she actually gave up because she said, look, I was going to my day job, which is as a teacher in a we call it a primary school for young children. I was leaving home between 6 and 7 in the morning. I was doing my job. I was going to train, and I was getting in at 9 o'clock at night, day after day. And I just thought, I'm not enjoying this. So she gave up running, and she finds she missed it. And she came back, got a different coach, started running better than ever, started running PRs, ran a 51:37 indoor to beat some of the best flat runners in Europe. Then she'd made enough progress that she decided to say to her school, look, I want to drop to 50%. So that, and again, very sensibly saying, I'm not going to train anymore. I'm just going to rest better. And so
Wow.
She missed out on Doha She came third in our trials, but I think from memory she was 100th of a second outside the Olympic qualifying standard. But now, I mean, she's improved so much, and she ran a big PR, very much as you said in the introduction to my piece, that having got her flat speed down, suddenly it's now transforming into the hurdles. And so I think she did something like 7th on the all-time British. I mean, the time that she ran last weekend would have been the 9th fastest in Doha.
Wow.
And I mean, this is just the start of the season. So she's running at Gateshead in a non-diamond event.
Okay.
And you know, all being well, she will certainly make our Olympic team. She will get her first Olympics if it happens. I just think it's great to see this happening to someone a little bit older than sometimes, you know, she's sort of mid-20s, and she's but she's just loving it. I mean, she was at the World Relays and picked up a medal. European indoors, picked up a relay medal there as well. And again, I mean, somebody who is, you mentioned nice people in our sport. You know, my first contact with her was to send her a message on Twitter. Would you do an interview with me? Straight back to me. Very happy to.
Wow.
Any time since that I've just texted her and said, would you give me a quote on your race the weekend? Straight back with it. So a talented runner and a really nice person.
Well, that's what we need. That's what we need. I'm going to miss seeing you in Gateshead, my friend. We were going to try to figure a way to do that. Right now, it looks like we're going to try to see the NCAAs and then the U.S. Olympic trials, and then head over for the second half of the season. But Gateshead should be able to watch on TV.
Yeah, the problem that we have at the moment is that, I mean, I had hoped to go to Stockholm, and I see Oslo has now rearranged itself for just before Stockholm. But at the moment, I don't think I can go because, first of all, I have to be able to declare to the government that it's essential travel. And it's quite hard for me to do that. But even if I get through that hurdle, I have to quarantine for 10 days when I come back.
Wow. You still will have to quarantine.
Yeah, there's only 12 countries in the world where we can go to without having to quarantine. I mean, it's really stupid, this list of 12, because it includes Australia and New Zealand and Singapore, which are not letting us in. It includes a load of little islands, including South Georgia in Antarctica, that the only way you can get there is by chartering a boat. So Portugal is the only real country that we can go to, and that's just as of today. So traveling to other meets around Europe at the moment, just for me, I believe is not an option.
Yeah, I'm trying to wonder if it's going to be available for us from the U.S. or not. You know, and we've gotten our shots, but it's like, is that going to be enough? You know, and I would rather get ourselves in a place where we can watch the Olympics and see some of the other meets face to face. But we'll just have to see how it goes. Well, buddy, you've survived week 52. Happy 1-year anniversary on our programming. And I will see you next week. And thank you for giving up to have a glass of wine this evening and then chat with me on track and field. So this is Larry Eater with Athletics Chat number 52. 52. Yeah, I didn't do 3. That's next week. Yeah, thanks, Stuart. You counted well for me. If you like RunBlogRun, like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you love us, it's our lovely YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube and check out all the stuff that Stuart and I have done and all the things that Mike has managed to produce for us. I think there's 2,500 since 2010 that either Adams or either Michael's got to do, or my brother's done the audio stuff, Brian. So keeps it fun, but lots of stuff there. Thanks again to Mike Deering today for managing the production, putting up with us, and trying to keep me on schedule and knowing what a time zone is. And Stuart, thank you for being so patient. All right, my friend. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, sports fans, Larry here, RunBlogRun. This is Athletics Chat 52, but this is your favorite part, the epilogue, or as we call it, Larry's monologue. So Mike's got a timer on me, so let's see if we can do this right. Today we talked with Stuart Muir. Now, Stuart lives across the pond. He's in Oxford, now the beer and intellectual capital of the world, because he may be able to go in and have an adult beverage inside a bar in the UK because of their dear and sacred Prime Minister Boris, who, it seems to have gotten the whole COVID thing done it pretty well. He hasn't done a lot of other things well, but apparently he's made a lot of Brits happy over this, so good for them. Anyway, Stuart's going to go to the first Diamond League meeting, the one in Gateshead, the one that should have been held in Rabat, Morocco, but the Prince of Morocco, Crown Prince, I'm not sure wanted to put the meet on. So we have a Gateshead meeting on the 23rd. On the 28th, we have Doha, Qatar. And on the 10th, we have Florence via way of Rome. It's actually the Rome Golden Gala, but in Florence. So it's the Florence Golden Gala for Rome. It's like when we had the pre-meet in Exile at Stanford a couple of years ago. And Florence is a lovely city. So the only problem is how do Americans get there or get to Qatar or get to Gateshead, keeps it pretty special. But I'm on a bit of a tour and am in Portland, Oregon right now, going back between Eugene and there. Looks like we're trying to find a little place to stay out here for about 6 weeks for the NCs, the couple meets in Portland, and then a couple events in lovely Eugene, Oregon. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. Anyway, so today what we talked about was, let's see, order from the top, the Gateshead meeting, which will be on the 23rd. The second Diamond League meeting in the UK, which is not going to be in London because it was going to cost $3.5 million US to repurpose the London Stadium so it could do track and field. So what the Legacy Group did is they wrote a check to British Athletics for about 1.6 and said, find another place, please. And they did. And it looks like it's going to be, we shall see. But it won't be, I thought it was going to be Gateshead again, but it doesn't sound like it. So we'll have to see where things go. Then after that, we talked about the Olympics again. And here's the deal with the Olympics. We don't know what's going on from one day to the other. BBC was the big news organization besides the New York Times, besides the Washington Post, that's come out rather angrily against the IOC for even considering doing the event. My issue is this. Come back to 1976, Montreal. And many athletes in the Olympic Village got dysentery. And among them was the lone medal winner on track and field for Great Britain, one Brendan Foster, who was third in the 10,000, came back and took sixth in the 5 too, which I don't know how the poor guy did that after being sick for a week. But that was one person. You've now got COVID. You got everybody in one place. They don't get to go out much. Essentially what we're told is you fly into Tokyo, they pick you up in a bus and take you to your hotel. You stay in that hotel until the Olympics starts and they bus you back and forth. You're banned from going to restaurants outside of the Olympic bubble, which means a lot of McDonald's and, I'm not sure what else they'll have there. And there's no touring or anything like that. My big memories from Athens in 2004 were taking my son Adam and us spending an extra week and going to see all the Greek battlefields and historic places. And I had that experience in 2008, bumming around Beijing and going up to the Great Wall. 2012 was wonderful. Rio, we had a little less control in 2016, a lot less. You had to be pretty careful. But what's happening now? I just think it's the Olympic Village, the whole Olympic idea right now is you got to be pretty careful about it. Now, can we do it? As Lord Coe said, well, we've done track meets. We could do a big track meet over that many days. But what about the other sports? And that's a challenge. So we will have to see whether this will come to fruition or not. I want the athletes to stay safe. That's what everybody wants. And I don't think the IOC is being any more arrogant than they normally are. I think the issue is that they see their big picture as preserving the brand. I see that they have this opportunity to say, look, this is just not safe. We're not going to come back till Paris 2024. No Winter Olympics, no nothing. We'll reschedule because we don't want people to die. That's how you stay. That's how you're resilient, but that's also how you stay, how you resonate with the sports world, because it could come out and this could blow up in their face. A lot of people get sick in Tokyo, and it's going to be a mess. The numbers go down for NBC. Boy, the IOC is really going to be hurting that. But the good that's coming out of everything right now is, we've got 40 track meets in the U.S. that we didn't have last year. And people are thinking out of their head. The folks at Miles of Trials, Jesse Williams of Sound Running, our friends in Portlandia, and Paul Doyle, who is the merry prankster of all this, and our friends at ESPN. As long as they can keep the coverage, even modest coverage, with some decent commentating, and for God's sakes, please let us see the time zone races right afterwards. This stuff should be able to be done and done well, because they do it for other people. Let's make sure those things are done. If we do that, we're protecting our legacy and protecting the sport. I understand that everything costs money, but also, if you can't do it right, you really shouldn't do it, because you'll put the sport back. And we don't need that. And right now, everything's going well. Athletes who have been hurt since 16, Andre DeGrasse, Trevon Bromell, Matt Centrowitz, are all starting to run well. And they're great stories. And I went to the Oregon Twilight meet on the 7th and had an awesome time. Got to be with a couple of friends that I had never watched the track meet with before. It was a lot of fun. And I think that with some controls, the Olympic trials can be held and they can get 40 to 50% of the people in. I think that the Olympics, they're going to have just to keep an open mind. If they really want to do this, they're not going to know until 2 weeks before. And it's getting pretty darn close right now. I had someone ask the other day, is Seb Coe looking at having the track events, if something happens with the Olympics, just inviting all the track athletes to London and doing a track and field championship? The problem is, can they get a hold of the London facility for that long? And I don't think they can. So there's challenges. There's challenges with any global sporting event right now. It's just a little too much. So, Larry Eater signing off. Stay safe. We'll have an update next week. This is Athletics Chat 52. If you like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We need your support. If you love us, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have over 2,500 videos and audios done by Mike Deering and Brian Eater. So it should be, there's audio, there's video. And in the last year, Mike managed and produced over 369 videos via Zoom for us, and pretty cool stuff. There's something for everybody. But if you haven't been vaccinated, please get vaccinated. You're not only protecting yourself, but others. Wear a mask when you're indoors. CDC says you don't have to wear a mask if you've been vaccinated outdoors. Keep it in your pocket. There may be a time when you need it, because it's not you just getting something, it's you giving something to someone else. Consider your fellow human being, okay? Stay safe. Talk to you soon. Talk to you next week. Bye.